Welcome back to Ball Knowledge Podcast. Today, we are ranking the top 5 running backs going into the NFL draft. This is the second day of our 10 to 11 day series on ranking every single top 5 for each position going into the going into the draft. Kishen, you got anything to say?
Yeah, I think this is a really, really good running back class. I mean, it's one of the best classes we've had in a while. You have Ashton Genty, who is being hyped up almost like Bijan Robinson and Saquon Barkley coming out of college. So it's going to be really cool to see how Ashton Genty does. But all these guys are all great, and you could easily see them be running back ones in the NFL. So let's get started.
All right, with number 5, we have the man from Tennessee, Dylan Sampson. So just coming out as a junior, like Dylan Sampson has been always really hyped, and like he has the best cuts in my opinion in the entire draft. Like he has got insane cutting and like spinning abilities. Like I
Yeah,
think there's no one
I
that
think
compares.
I think his instinct and his intuition is just something that sets him apart from these guys. I mean, obviously you said his spinning, so yeah, his instinct, his intuition. I think he has the highest ceiling out of all of these guys, to be honest. I think he's a great improviser, and I think he can really turn plays from nothing into something. So Dylan Sampson is a really great running back, and I'm excited to see where he goes in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, there was just a couple of different plays at Tennessee where you saw like the blocking scheme, like he trusts the blocking scheme, and he'll follow it through. But then when it breaks down, his ability to improvise is world class.
Hmm.
I think
Yeah.
that the one thing though, like he needs to work on is like he's not doing a great job like understanding the blitz. Like he's not the best pass protector. And also like if there is one area of his running game that I think he could improve upon, I think he's a really good inside runner. I think that he needs to take that next step on the outside. And yeah, you got a great running back.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that's not as much of a concern is his size. I mean,
Oh yeah.
5'11", flirting with 200. So, if he could put on some more weight in the offseason, I think that would be a really big help for him. But other than that, I think size isn't too much of a problem. And again, he has all of these great attributes. So it's cool to see.
Yeah. Number 4, we got Cam Scattaboo out of Arizona State. And he absolutely lit up college football this year with especially like getting towards the end of the season and into the playoffs. Like even against your Texas Longhorns, he still had an amazing game.
Yeah,
And
I mean, the guy, Cam Scatterbo, is just he's a specimen. I mean, you don't see a guy who can vomit on the sideline, come back, throw a touchdown, rush for a touchdown, catch a touchdown. The guy can do it all. I mean, his receiving ability phenomenal. His running ability obviously is
the
incredible.
best
So
contact balance. Like
right,
it's literally a
right.
pinball out there.
Yeah, I think he lacks a little bit of speed. I
Oh
think
yeah.
that would be something that he could definitely work on. But he is the ultimate football player, in my opinion. I mean, he can do it all. So Scadaboo will be somebody who just comes out of nowhere, and I think that's amazing about him.
Yeah, I agree with what you said about his speed. Like he did get chased down a couple different times. Like he also, in my opinion, doesn't have the best acceleration going into that speed. Like he lacks like just everything like speed related, honestly. Like he's not a downhill runner. That's not his game. His game is he will bounce off of you and just fight any yard he possibly can.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that he's the like if you want a running back on third down in this draft, you go Cam Scattergood's direction.
Yeah, I mean the thing that sets this guy apart obviously is his mentality and his ability to just not give up. And I think that's something that we saw a ton in that Texas Longhorns game. I mean, they really came back from such being so far down and he fought every single play and brought them back in the game almost. I think they should have won that game as a Texas fan, but yeah, it's amazing.
All right, number 3, we got Caleb Johnson out of Iowa. And this man, he is just like the perfect running back size, 6 feet tall, 225. Like you cannot ask for a better build as a running back.
Yeah, I think that's what's so amazing about him. I mean, you put this guy in his own blocking scheme, and he's unstoppable. I mean, his ability there is incredible. But I also think that he's probably one of the most explosive running backs that we see coming out of this class. Obviously, he's had 28 runs of 15 plus yards, which is really, really high for a team that, did not do very well this year. So it's really cool to see him produce even with a tough season.
Yeah, I mean, especially that Iowa offense. I mean, it's always a joke how Iowa
Mhm.
is like the worst offense in college football, but he
Mhm.
was like the lone bright spot. He had 1,500 yards and 21 touchdowns on the ground. Like that is it's probably almost every single touchdown Iowa had. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, I think that kind of like Scadu though, like I think that he does like lack that like pure speed at top. Like he has a great like second gear, but like I don't think that he can get up to that like third gear. And I
Mhm.
also think though, like yes, he is a great like red zone threat. Like he is an amazing short yardage guy. Like that is a guy you want in a goal line, like in a goal line stand.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting to see where he'll go. I mean, you could take him anywhere from the first round to, maybe early third, late second. So I think he'll probably be a running back one in the future pretty soon. So it's going to be really cool to see how he works upon his weaknesses and builds upon his strengths. So, yeah.
All right, number two, we got Omarion Hampton from North Carolina. And in my opinion, if Ashton Genty wasn't in this draft, this guy would be also considered like a really stud, like one of the best prospects we've seen in years. Even with Ashton Genty in the draft, like this guy just sadly gets like no love. And it's
Yeah.
depressing. Like he is so talented. He has like track speed. Like you can't catch this guy once he gets an open lane.
Yeah, for sure. I think Omari and Hampton, also another thing that's so amazing about him is that he's 6'1", 220, and he's still able to be so fast, so elusive. And it's really interesting to see that he's almost like a bigger Christian McCaffrey. He can catch really well, he can move really well, and I think obviously his speed is incredible. So Omari and Hampton, I could see definitely going in the first round, but I don't know where he's going to go. I mean, there's so many good running backs in this class. So
I also think with that 6'1", 220 frame, like this guy can truck anyone. Like this,
mhm. Yeah.
he is the got that rare like ability where he is both extremely fast and extremely strong. And
Mhm.
I mean, if there was one thing I'd say about his game that I wish he did a little bit better was while he does have pure speed, his he doesn't have like that like stop and go ability. Like he can't like he only has one gear. And while that gear is like fourth gear, he doesn't ever like have that like defenses are never fooled
Stop go, yeah.
with a
I see
stop
what
and go.
you're saying. For sure. Yeah, I think that his missed tackle rate is really incredible. Especially because you said he can just run through people. So it's a big highlight of his game.
Yeah. All right. And then, of course, with number one, to nobody's surprise, we have Ashton Genty out of Boise State. I mean, this guy's stats 374 carries for 2,600 yards and 29 touchdowns on the ground, along with 23 receptions, 138 yards, and one touchdown. And then, in my opinion, these two are the most impressive stats 1,900 yards after contact and 151 missed tackles forced. Both of those are almost double like what anyone else has.
Yeah,
Like
I
Ashton
mean,
Genty has 300 more yards after contact than Omari and Hampton does, like total like running yards.
yeah, when you think about Ashton Genty, you think about, start like I said, Bijan Robinson, Saquon Barkley, these guys who are super hyped up NFL prospects, but Ashton Genty just had one of the best seasons we've ever seen from a running back. I mean, you don't see that ever, especially from a guy at Boise State. I mean, he took Boise State from being a program that, was usually flirting with top 25 to a college football playoff team, which is incredible, especially considering they got a bye first round. So I think that Ashton Genty is going to be running back one from day one. You could see him going top 10 maybe. So it's cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, he reminds me honestly of LaDainian Tomlinson, just like with it, like his build is the exact same. Like LaDainian Tomlinson, I think was maybe like half an inch taller, but they
Mhm.
both weighed the same. And they're both just like exceptional, like ability to just find the open lane and just score whenever is needed. And like Ashton Genty is the toughest runner in the history of football, like college football. Like this guy, like it takes the entire team to tackle him. Like you can't get 151 missed tackles on a season. That is just an unheard of number right there. I mean, he also like what I love is that he's a smart football player. Like he's an amazing like pass protector, and he also like will follow like the run scheme that's given to him.
And the crazy thing about this guy is that, Boise State would be blowing these teams out, and he'd only play, three-fourths of the game, half the game sometimes, except that Oregon game. But I mean, these numbers are incredible. 215 at 5'9", you got to put on a lot of muscle.
Oh
So
yeah,
it's cool to see that he's so fast and so strong with this build. I also want to point out he was a Heisman finalist. He was he came in second to
Derek.
obviously, yeah, second is crazy for a running back.
Yeah.
So it's amazing to see that running backs are starting to make their way back into the Heisman conversation. So who knows? Maybe the Bears could take him at 10.
Yeah. Well, what are you gonna do about DeAndre Swift then?
Well, DeAndre Swift's a whole different story.
Yeah, I mean, if there was one aspect of his game, I'd say like his lateral cuts, like once he gets into the open field, aren't necessarily the best, but like that's just due to like his tight hips and stuff. But then he also like he had 374 carries, which is an unreal number of carries, and like I'm just curious like what his workload then would be like in his rookie season, like just because his body got like absolutely destroyed during this year.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, Boise State is obviously a team that relies so much upon him. So it's really cool to see that he was able to stay healthy throughout the season too. So that's great about Ashton Shenty. I'm really excited to see him play so well in the NFL.
All right. Well, thank you for another episode. We will drop our receiving episode tomorrow. And please go like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.